What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that we took today inside the Discord and the game plan going into tomorrow. So today when it came to SPY, we ended up opening right here on the 30-minute chart. You could see all the way up in here, 9:30. That right at 9:30, market was bullish still at the time since the 10 SMA is above the 50. Obviously, things kind of changed throughout later in the day when Powell came on and he spoke. I don't even know what time he got off at, but I know he was on at 12:30. So it was kind of a weird day. Really wasn't much to do when it came to SPY since he was talking, and I'm not going to be taking a trade while any of that was going on. So it was pretty much just do nothing type of day when it came to SPY. I mean, you can see here we end up losing the 50 SMA here on the 665 calls for Friday. That major support got broken, and we did have some initial bounce off of it initially, probably like 40-50 point bounce. It's hard to see on the chart, but we did come up, get a hard bounce out the 50, and then end up breaking below the 50 and crossing negative. So right now the market is neutral since its 10 SMA is below the 50. On the 0DT charts, this is where we get our entries from. During the day, there was nothing going on the call side, obviously, since you guys know how today went already. I mean, there's still an hour left, but we pretty much trended down the entire day. Once Powell got on, we ended up dumping a lot. So on the call side, there was nothing to take in the morning, no cross or anything like that. And then when we go to the put side, we did get this nice cross, but again, this was when Powell was on. So this wasn't a trade I'd like even consider. I mean, since Powell's talking, and he could say one thing, get a crazy wick, and just dump it or dump these contracts and pump the market. So that did play out, but just wasn't something that I wanted to take with Powell on the mic. So in hindsight, yeah, it looks really good, but was this the trade you should have taken? Definitely not, because Powell was on, and you should wait for him to be done. I don't even know what time he got off at, like I said, but this was, on a normal day, yeah, this would have been a solid trade to take, because we did start to break below the 30-minute 50, and after that point, since we do break below that 30-minute 50, the put cross would be an option on the table. So once we got back with 10 SMA here at 12:55, that would have been an entry to take if this was just a normal trading day. But again, since Powell was on the mic, wasn't a trade to take in. Obviously, we just nuked the rest of the day. So when it comes to SPY going into tomorrow, this is what we currently look like. So if we pull up the 30 minutes again, on the higher time frames, we are sitting at a pretty strong area. So we're at that 4-hour 50 on the 665 calls, and then we're also sitting right at the 2-hour as well. So for me to really get bearish in the market, a couple things need to happen, because right now I wouldn't say I'm the most bearish bias in the world, because we're sitting at the 4-hour 50 and the 2-hour 50. And then if we actually flip to the put side real quick, I can show you what those look like on the 655s right here. So we did pop up in this 30-minute 50 today, and this chart needs to cross for me to really have any bearish bias, because you guys know when we're trending, that means the 30-minute is crossed. So you guys know the last week or so we've been crossed on the call side. Market's been trending higher, and that's where I get my bias from. So until this chart could cross bearish, or not cross bearish, just cross in general on the put side, then I will definitely favor the bears for the shorter term. And right now we're sitting at that key pivot point. So until we do break and cross, I'd favor upside than downside. But again, who knows, this could break above and cross. But for the time being, I would favor some sort of balance going into tomorrow, because again, 30-minute 50 is a major pivot point in the market. We just crossed negative today on the call side. So I would expect some sort of initial reaction off of here. We kind of got it right here. Like I said, when we got that massive dump, this is kind of where we ended up bouncing off of the 50 from, I believe. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on SPY right now. I don't really have anything too strong, because we don't have a 30-minute cross on either side. So that means we're neutral, and going into tomorrow, I'm just going to be looking for a cross on either side of the premium. So if 0DT puts cross, I'll take it, because that pretty much will confirm we're going to break that 50 most likely. And then if calls get a cross tomorrow, that's going to confirm we're rejecting off of that 50 SMA on the 30 minutes. So, those are your trade opportunities tomorrow. And, that's usually how it goes in a neutral market. Like going into today, my thought process was, okay, 30 minutes still cross on calls, I'm going to favor the bulls, but we didn't get any sort of entry to go long, because that 0DT chart, we never got a call cross. And then your only other opportunity to go long would be if this chart here on the put side cross negative, which it didn't. So you guys know we ended up bouncing off that 50 right here. Again, this was during Powell, but just for reference, the only, the trades that I was looking for going into today was that 0DT call cross, which we didn't get, and then if the put did cross, then watch for a negative cross, which just means 10 SMA crosses back below the 50. And that's kind of exactly what happened on the call side right off of open. So just for like reference of what the negative cross looks like, I mean, it's exactly this right here. So these are actually the puts. Where are the calls at? Calls. So this is what a negative cross looks like. 10 SMA goes below the 50. 50's got to be turning down. This isn't a trade to take or anything like that. Because one, market was bullish off of open, and two, I'm not taking the negative crosses off of open, because a lot of the times this negative cross happens just because of theta on the contract. So if we get any sort of negative cross right off of open, that's not a trade I'm taking. I'd want to see it happen after like 9:40, 9:45 in the morning. So but yeah, when there's a big extension like this, not a trade you take, just in general. But for today, this was 100% not a trade you're taking, since the market was bullish on the 30-minute. But again, given today, there was no long entries. So that's kind of a good thing about the system, is where a lot of the times when we're bullish bias, we're gonna be getting those trades to the upside. And then if the market does want to like reverse, we're just not going to get the entry. So that's kind of how today ended up going. So for SPY, that was kind of what we did. I didn't take any trades when it came to SPY in the Discord today. It wasn't anything to call out. But yeah, I mean, we're sitting at some major supports on the higher time frames. And then we also have that 30-minute 50 on puts. So I can't really be super bearish yet. We need that 30-minute chart to cross on puts for me to really have that bearish bias. But when it came to individual stocks, unfortunate day on JD. Ended up stopping out of this today. We were up 40% at one point, ended up coming back here, opening below the 50, so I just got out. I didn't like the look of it, ended up gapping down. So closed JD today for a loss. It was actually a bigger loss than usual, because I did have some size on this trade. So I did end up stopping out with some good size on the trade, but that's all good. I mean, losses will happen. When it comes to options recently, I mean, definitely been stopping out a good portion of my trades, I'd say. But then we had a week or two ago where we were pretty much hitting every trade. So it comes and goes. I'm not worried about it at all, because I know how the system performs, and we just gotta keep taking the trades that look good and get paid on them. So yeah, unfortunately JD didn't end up playing out the way I wanted it to. There's still a possibility it gets back above the 10, the 50 and rips, but my stop out point was today, ended up breaking below that 50. So that was unfortunate for JD. And then SoFi, I actually ended up closing everything today, just because I mean, I was up like 80-90% on the contracts, and I'm just taking the loot at that point. So wanted to secure some gains. And then TEM, this is still a good looking setup. I mean, the monthlies still look really bullish. I mean, with how the market's been moving, if the market did flip bearish, then I'd probably stay away from it. But for TEM, you could just watch for a 30-minute cross on the weeklies if you did want to take a position on it. And then Hood, I did take Hood today. Actually, I stopped on this for like 2%, maybe a couple percent. When it came to the weekly contract. So if we go to the monthlies here, I'm in a swing for this. I went over this yesterday and the day before, I believe, but monthlies are crossing, looks really bullish. And then today we ended up getting a cross on the weeklies, and this was pretty much a break-even trade for me. The SMAs just ended up looking very weird. So if we pull up a Hood real quick, this is kind of what happened. So Hood, where are we at? So Hood, we got the 130 calls here on the 30-minute. So this is what it ended up looking like. So I got in on one of these candles. I actually have the screenshot that I sent to the Discord, which I will bring over here. But it did look really good. So this is what it looked like right here is when I added it. I got in at around like 165, I believe. This is what it looked like. It looked really good. And then the SMAs just ended up like turning down at one point, which I think I also have the screenshot for. Okay, but at one point, the SMAs just like both pointed down. It looked very funky, so I got out right around break even. So really wasn't anything going on with Hood today when it comes to the weekly contracts. We did have Powell speaking as well, I believe, during this time. So a little bit of a riskier trade. But Powell ended up just nuking us, so Hood kind of went with it. But yeah, that's what we did when it came to Hood today. And I believe, oh yeah, then we also took Shop today, which again we stopped out on. Unfortunately, it just ended up breaking below the 50 SMA, and it was just a 50 SMA dip buy, which I will drag over as well because I know I have the screenshot for this. But let's see here. Yeah, so we just dipped down in the 30-minute 50 right here. I'm gonna drag it over. So this is what the shop setup looked like. All I was doing here was buying this dip at the 50, and we ended up closing below it and breaking below it, so I got out of it. I think it was like 35% loss it might have been, or 33 maybe, something like that. But yeah, it just didn't end up playing out. Like I said, the whole market kind of nuked, so anything to the upside really didn't end up playing out good. But yeah, that's what we did with shop. And I believe that was it for the day. So unfortunate day when it came to options. JD closed the swing. Hood pretty much break even, and then what else did we have? We had JD, Hood, and then what else did we close on? Oh yeah, Hood, JD, and shop. Those were the three. Yeah, we took 3 losses today. Not the usual, not the typical type of day that we have, but it's all part of the process. If you're in the Discord, don't lose not hope, but confidence, because I'm still going to be taking the same setups. Yeah, that's pretty much what we did today when it came to stocks and when it came to SPY. So, hopefully tomorrow we get some good action for SPY and we could catch some sort of cross. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. If you guys enjoyed, drop a sub, join the Discord if you want to learn. I'm out. Peace.